It's time to begin yet again here at the iBUYPOWER Masters 2019 as we have one more semifinal to determine who will be moving on into our grand final to face off against Liquid. It is going to be Astralis, and they're going to be facing off against an unlikely opponent, maybe a team we didn't expect to see here in Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people thought that maybe Ghost would have like an outside chance to upset FaZe to get into this position just because we've seen them take maps off of like Navi and NIP and stuff before. So it's not like they're, you know, strangers to taking maps off of elite level teams, but you still couldn't really expect it. And they did make it happen. So you gotta tip your hat to them.
I was definitely betting on Ghost to beat FaZe both times. So there you go.
What a guy.
You can say that as a guy who wasn't on the desk until just now.
I was here in spirit. I was here in spirit, Mark. And that's what counts, okay?
There you go.
Now, I mean, obviously, this is a very difficult opponent for Ghost to face off against. Is there a certain aspect where Ghost is maybe a little bit checked out, like kind of like, okay, well, it's Astralis. Like,
I mean, I think they're probably hungry for this game because, to my knowledge, they've never played against Astralis unless it was in scrims or something. There's no official head-to-head history between these two teams. So with that in mind, I think Ghost is probably hungry for the opportunity to get a crack at Astralis, where, you know, Liquid's had plenty of chances. A couple other top NA teams have, you know, played against them, but this is their first stab at it. They've obviously made a roster change. If you look at the lineup on screen, you can see it. Or actually, no, they didn't put it in the graphics. So instead of Sub Rosa, it is Freakazoid in for this tournament. So I'll just tell you that. It did happen like literally the right before the tournament started.
It was officially announced like yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, so that didn't really help. But yeah, I mean, Ghost is definitely a team, when you look at them, they've really just been rising up the North American scene, like blowing past all the middle of the pack teams, you know, doing so well in EPL. So many teams they did well, and there's the new guy, Freakazoid, lighting up the crowd. One of the main reasons why they brought him on board is the energy he brings to this team.
You gotta love the interaction.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ghost Gaming going up against Astralis, it is an uphill battle. But for Ghost Gaming, this is what they want. This is the teams they want to battle against. They want to prove themselves against these teams. So I think this is a great matchup. And now with Freakazoid, he's got the crowd's love here, so you can imagine his spirits are up going into this match. I wouldn't be surprised if we might see a little bit of an upset, maybe on one of the first two maps.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, Ghost is actually one of the, you know, more strategical teams in the scene. They have really explosive executes. They're well coordinated, so they definitely have some tools as well in the firepower department with Wardell's AWP and some of the rifling. But now we're looking at Astralis, who is, you know, pound for pound the best team in CSGO right now. No one's even close. I mean, this is now maybe the 16th event in a row they've made at least a top 4 finish. That's just incredible consistency. Yeah. You know, they've only placed out top 4 a single time in their whole career as a lineup. That was their first event together many, many months ago. And this is, you know, a chance for them to perhaps make their 13th final in a year's time. And they've already won 10 titles. So just an incredible team.
There is a certain aspect, too, of the fact, like the cold factor. Like, Astralis hasn't been here playing all day. Ghost has. So they're warm. They've been playing all day. They're getting kind of comfortable with the setup. Maybe they sneak a pick in. Like, I was talking to one of the guys from Ghost about the maps and picks, like what they might expect to play. And honestly, I think that Astralis could just be like, we'll just pick what we want to pick.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's a couple of slight weaknesses. I hesitate to say that because Astralis actually has a positive win rate on all 7 maps in the pool, which no other team has ever accomplished, I think, in CSGO history offline. So even their weaknesses are maps they still win more than they lose. But, you know, there is cash sitting out there if they let it through. Train's been a little bit of an issue for them at times. So there might be a sneaky way you might get a map in.
So the bans come in, and this lines up with what I was talking about with B. You know, prior to the game, I was like, oh, you guys are probably going to ban Nuke, and they're probably going to end up banning out
Oh,
Cash.
Wow.
So
yeah, so
Train,
Ghost
which
definitely
is
picked
Ghost's
Train.
favorite map.
Yeah.
You know, Ghost has played Train now 2 times, excuse me, and they've won both of those times, times against FaZe.
So this map pool right here is honestly, obviously Astralis being the greatest team in the world, you can't really count them out on any other map, but I think this plays to Ghost's advantage right now. With Train, Inferno, and Mirage in the set right now, yeah, we'll leave Mirage as kind of an outlier right now, but Train, if you get off to a strong CT side, you can steamroll that, snowball that into an easy victory moving on to your T. Or even starting on T side, if you mess with that CT economy, you're going to find yourself finding some easy rounds as well. When you move on to Inferno, you're going to see, you know, if Ghost has a strong CT, if that banana aggression is working for them, if they're able to shut down banana, keep Astralis at bay very early on onto their CT side, I think they have a really good opportunity right now to actually make something happen, maybe pull off a map upset.
Yeah, again, Train is that weakness. I think Astralis has lost it the last 3 times they've played it, and again, they don't play it that often. So it is one of the maps that maybe isn't as strong as some of the rest of the pool. But then you go on to map 2, Inferno, And that's where Astralis has won it the last 10 times in a row they've played it. That's probably their most dominant map outside of Nuke and Dust 2. So that is a super huge uphill battle for Ghost. If they're somehow able to get Inferno off Astralis, that would be some seriously legendary stuff. Like, there's no way you can expect them to do that.
Put it this way. Ghost taking second in EPL Pro League, nobody expected that either. So I'm never going to bet against Ghost.
There's a bigger leap here.
But
I'm never betting against them. I'm never betting against them. That's the point I'm trying to get to.
That actually leads into a point I was going to make. You know, Ghost has had pretty decent success online, but their LAN results have been less than spectacular. Obviously, they had a really disappointing performance at DreamHack Atlanta. Yes, they played okay, but that was really like one of their events where we expected to see them in the finals, and they didn't make it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they had like a really close semifinal against Luminosity at Atlanta. I thought they were going to make the finals there and maybe get a chance to battle Vitality, but like as you noted, weren't able to get it done. Again, like there's been a couple of times where I've seen them take like a map off of Navi at a tournament, or take a map off of NIP. They've played a couple of their teams really close that like are elite level teams, so they definitely don't just go completely missing against top level teams. But you're right, they don't really have like that deep tournament run that you would really want at this point. But they have really just toppled over most of their North American competition. I mean, only like Liquid and Energy and maybe Made in Brazil kind of stand ahead of them right now.
Yeah, for Ghost, in my opinion, it's more so just a testament to, their climb. They're still going through it. They're a new team to the Pro League. They're still going through, the motions, I guess, of getting themselves established. And for that reason, yeah, I feel like they might be, kind of overwhelmed by the Astralis factor. Astralis, who's been able to dominate almost every single team in the world, I shouldn't say almost every single team, but every single team in the world over the past year. I think it is an uphill battle for Ghost, but at the end of the day, the map selections right now, I'm gonna say that Ghost actually might pull off a map here. It's gonna be interesting.
I mean, if they're gonna win, it's probably gonna be that first map.
Yeah, I think Train's definitely the window of opportunity for them.
I mean, I'm not necessarily gonna say they're gonna win, but I think it could be a pretty close battle, maybe more close than people would anticipate. The question too is, how does Freakazoid plug in for the replacement of Sabrosa? Is it going to work out better? Is it going to work out worse? So, I feel like it's a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, from what I can see, it's two complete different personalities, right? I think Freakazoid adds that hype, that skill level, that team, what's that X factor? Yeah. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, right? He brings everything to the table, and I think that's what Ghost is going to climb off of going into this next year, and I think this is a good opportunity for Freak to show that going up against a team like Astralis.
I'll put it this way. In no way is it a downgrade. Like, I don't think you could ever make that argument. I think at worst it's a lateral move in skill. I think it could even be an upgrade in skill, though. I mean, they play a similar role, I would imagine. I haven't gotten to see Ghost games yet because they've been playing Group B, and we haven't got to watch those games. But just knowing Freakazoid's past, he's very much an entry fragger, very much a fearless guy who doesn't mind going in first, doesn't mind doing anything it takes to help his team win. And that Sub-Rosa was kind of entering with Steel a lot in the past, so I'd imagine that maybe it's going to be like Steel and Freakazoid kind of a combo on T-sides. And the thing that you brought up that really needs to be reemphasized is that this guy is an emotional leader of a team. He's the heartbeat of the team. He's the guy that can stop people from tilting or get people's morale up when things aren't going right. Or if things are going great, keep that momentum emotionally going. And, I think that he's like a leader of men in a way. Maybe not a tactician, but he's just someone who, again, is that heartbeat of the team.
Yeah. Which you need, too, because you have a player in Wardell who, in the past, Wardell has really struggled with his consistency. And as someone who's watched him play multiple LAN events, part of that was his own kind of mentality. Like, he would make a few mistakes, and he would just get trapped inside of his own mind. In fact, I remember it was the ROG Masters event where they were playing against Splice at the time, and Splice knew they were in his head. Wardell was sitting on the end, and they were taunting him from across the setup, knowing that they could just get inside his headspace.
Yeah, I definitely think that factors into Wardell's age. He's a younger player, right? And I think he might be the youngest on that lineup, if I'm not mistaken, as well. No, well, Neptune, sorry.
Yeah.
Neptune, who can forget? He's 14, right?
Yeah. I don't think Neptune even knows.
Neptune doesn't even know his age, right?
Actually 400. Right? He's a Highlander.
Yeah, exactly. But, that goes into the age factor, right? When you're a younger player, it's, your emotions get the best of you. And in this sense, I think that over time, Ghost, we're going to see them develop into a more mature team, a more developed team. This is just another stepping stone for them to get there.
Yeah, and then that's really just goes back to that whole statement about Freakazoid. Like, maybe Freak can really work with him, take his play even to a higher level, because we've seen him elevate just within this Ghost roster. Because the old Ghost roster of Wardell was somewhat disappointing. But one of the things that we have seen from them with their LAN performance is a tendency to overpeak. They'll make a lot of mistakes. They'll get really confident. Someone almost say cocky to a certain aspect, like, oh, I'm feeling it right now. I'm going to take this peak. That's a mistake you can't make against a team like Astralis.
I mean, the thing is, like, Astralis is the most unforgiving team when it comes to mistakes. I mean, you have to understand that this team coming into the event has played 160 maps of Counter-Strike and has only been denied double digits 8 times. 8 times out of 160 have gotten, only times have been non-double digits. So they're just an incredible team at making sure they get rounds on the board, and they win 79% of the matches they play offline. Like, that's incredible. I don't think you can think of another team that has a number like that.
I mean, on top of that, with Astralis, they're just a dominant force. That's just to add on to his point, right? There's not really much to say other than 2019 is going to be the year that they either pretty much cement themselves as the greatest team in CSGO history, or maybe we see other teams rise to the occasion. Regardless, though, I mean, it's going to be a good matchup in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, we're in a best of 3, and Astralis has only lost 9 best of 3s out of 51.
There you go.
I mean, the number speaks for itself. And the only teams beating them in best of 3s were like Navi on a couple of occasions, FaZe. I think North had kind of a fluky win against them at Stockholm a couple of times. And maybe a couple other ones I'm missing. But it takes like Herculean efforts to put Astralis in the dirt. And so if Ghost were somehow able to do it, it would be one of the craziest best of 3 upsets we've probably seen in CSGO history.
I mean, if someone was going to upset and disrupt this sort of magical run for Astralis, it would be kind of a scrappy team like Ghost to come in and kind of just like screw up the cogs a little bit, kind of shift things apart, create that division amongst the roster.
Even in the NA scene, right? In, the one season that they've been in Pro League, they've shaked up everything. Nobody expected them to take their placings. They absolutely decimated the rest of the NA competition, with the exception of MIBR, obviously. But they did pull off the win against MIBR during the regular season. But overall, I'm just saying that, Ghost, I completely agree with you. It's going to be, one of those dark horse teams, underdog teams, that could possibly pull off the win against Astralis.
Looking at this Astralis roster, like looking at the year ahead of us, who is realistically the biggest threat to them? I know, like we're watching Liquid play that previous game, and yeah, sure, they take the win, but they did struggle against Fnatic in that second map. Is that team better than the old Liquid? Is it finally enough with that extra piece?
It's way too early to call on that one. I mean, again, there are teams who have proven that Astralis can bleed. I mean, like I said, Navi's beaten them before, FaZe has. It's just that it doesn't happen often. I mean, again, Astralis head-to-head against any team in the world has the advantage. Like, they have never lost more than they've won, except for that North lineup at Stockholm, which was like a one-off event and very fluky because North never did that with any other lineup that they had. So outside of that, no one else beats Astralis more than they beat them. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you who possibly could do it. I mean, there's teams we could theory craft, FaZe with the right lineup. MIBR has made some good moves that could get them stronger. Navi still, if simple, and Electron just pop off and go massive. Maybe they could pull a series over Astralis, but no one can do it on a consistent basis. And for the foreseeable future, no one will.
Looking at that second map, the second map is going to be Inferno. It's obviously a really good map for Astralis, but it's also not that bad of a map for Ghost. We've watched Ghost play and have like kind of mixed bag results. We watched them play it actually at DreamHack Atlanta, and it was looking like it was going to be their map, but then I think LG ended up taking that one, and a large part due to the fact that we did see some of that over-aggressive play style. Do you think that maybe Ghost has kind of worked on that, given that that was such a disappointing defeat?
I definitely think that Ghost is really, from DreamHack, shaped up, right? It's overtime. It's something that, like I've been saying throughout the segment, they're growing with it. They're not at where they think they should be, and so they're going to keep working towards that. And I think that, once again, going up against Astralis is a good way to see how you've progressed over the last few months.
I mean, the problem with Inferno is like everyone knows Astralis for Nuke because they're 27-0, the second longest map winning streak in CSGO history. We know how good they are on Dust 2, but Inferno is their most played map. That's what people tend to forget. And again, they're on a 10-game winning streak on Inferno right now. Their overall record is insane on Inferno. They are just so well structured with their roles. Again, they're so dynamic. Like, how could you possibly do anything against Astralis on Inferno?
Because all good things come to an end, Dust.
Okay.
All good things come to an end.
There is a certain point to be made. Every dynasty that we've seen eventually does fall.
Yeah,
it's not falling today against Ghost.
I just don't know if it's that time.
No,
no,
probably not.
No,
I mean, and even if it was, I mean, coming off of a long break from the holiday, like some rust maybe, like those are the only things that you could really think that maybe could help. Again, I think Ghost has a slight chance on Train, but on any other map, I just don't see it.
I mean, it is kind of interesting. Like, you start comparing them across, like, the old SK and LG roster or the Fnatic roster, or even going back to, like, NIP and Very Games, some other really strong rosters from the past, and you start wondering, are those teams? I don't know what they're having a good time. They're just distracting us. But you look at those teams, all of them came to an end eventually. But the question is Astralis going to run that even longer? I mean, based on what we've seen, I would argue that they are the most powerful team we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, again, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with him. Go ahead.
Okay, I got you. I mean, again, the only other team that's even comparable is that one Fnatic lineup from like late 2014 to late 2015 that just went to so many tournaments that, Astralis is only, I think, 17 tournaments deep. I think that team went to something like in the high 20s of LAN tournaments. So there's still a lot of room there for Astralis to play a lot more tournaments and then be directly comparable. So again, that's the only team that even comes close to Astralis.
But at the same point in time, you're looking at some of the smaller events that team was going to, and you're looking at the big events that Astralis is winning.
I think that Fnatic team actually was still playing against like really good competition. So I don't think that the context of that changes it at all. I think what changes it is that Astralis is still going, and for the foreseeable future, I can't even see a team that will really challenge them. Like we haven't seen the new Made in Brazil yet. We didn't really get to see FaZe directly, obviously, though with Ghost they beat him in a couple best of ones. But again, it's still too soon to call the new FaZe lineup. So again, it's just I don't see the end for Astralis yet. Like you don't even see signs of weakness yet, or some team that's coming up that looks super strong. Like surely they can be the ones to do it. There's no definite answers yet for Astralis.
Now, we're talking about that first map, and we're looking at Train, and we're talking about, Ghost might be able to take it. What are the actual odds that Ghost can win that
on
first
Train?
map? On Train. If you had to go with your classic over-under.
I mean, like a 25% chance? I mean, I don't know.
Okay, I was going to be a little more giving.
You were going to be more generous?
I was going to be more generous there. I was going to say it's going to be like 35-40% chance. Of course, Astralis, I don't know. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? So even though it might be Astralis' another map that Astralis is good on, only losing a few times, like all their other maps, Ghost still has to take them down to make something happen here.
I mean, the wild thing is there's never been a North American team that's beaten this Astralis team in a best of 3. I mean, think about how many attempts Liquid had against them and never could do it. If somehow Ghost did it, it would just be the most unreal thing.
If Astralis wins again, Liquid's going to get another opportunity too.
Yeah, I know. That matchup almost has more sequels than Star Wars at this point, like the Liquid Astralis matchup. So we may indeed see that in the finals after all. But
like as much, I honestly, I want to root for Ghost, but at the same point in time, part of me is like, I really want to see that Liquid Astralis final.
Especially with the new lineup change for Liquid,
it,
because it would be like, has this been enough? I mean, you could still argue maybe it's not been enough time, even if this move is going to be what it takes, but it gives you that first look at it.
Yeah, it's a little taste, a teaser. Now, we are just waiting a little bit longer. I think the players are just, finally kind of getting things ready. So we'll be jumping into the action in just a minute. I believe a couple of them had to use the restroom before we got started. And obviously, too, like, Astralis is getting their fair warm-up time. They haven't been here all day. They had the luxury of kind of just sitting back and relaxing all day while everyone else was kind of grinding their way to this point.
Yeah, that could bite you, though, right? When you're just hanging out all day and, you start getting tired, you start getting, kind of lazy. That couch starts feeling comfortable, and then you got to get up and turn it right on to get into match mode. Could be a little rough on them. And I think Ghost might even have an opportunity to take the map because of that factor. Maybe they start off a little bit slow on Train, and that's where Ghost takes the first map.
Yeah, again, I mean, like I said, I think Train was like the only feasible map. Like, there's been some hiccups on Overpass from Astralis as well, but in general, Train has been kind of the target that people go for. So, yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's go ahead and take some predictions. I mean, it's a 3-map series. Evan, what do you got?
I don't think there is a prediction, but I think we're all saying, maybe 2-1 Astralis.
2-0 Astralis.
I'm going to have to say 2-0 Astralis as well.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
I love Ghost, and I hope they prove me wrong, but I'm told that we've got the casters standing by as we're ready to jump into the action. Take it away.
What's going on, iBUYPOWER Masters, second semifinal, Ghost Gaming versus... I heard some laughter in the crowd. I didn't actually hear if Emo had predicted Ghost Gaming to win. Do you think he did?
I don't want to comment on that, Jason. I think that would be revealing too much. I don't know. I don't... Can you in your right mind? No, you can't.
You can't.
You really can't.
I don't think you can even make the argument.
That you can do.
But this Ghost Gaming team, I know you haven't seen much of them, but they're fun to watch, and they've got some cool players. They've got one of my favorites. They got Kusta. Steel, I think, as an in-game leader, is actually that's an incredible story, the journey that he's had in his career. But this is a juggernaut. Now they've already taken down FaZe twice on Train, which is you'd assume the map that they selected to play against Astralis here. So some intimate knowledge on this map, but Astralis is just a whole other beast.
Yes, they are, but that could play off really well, I think, for Ghost, because as you say, a team which has actually a lot of really good talent. I mean, if you look at Wardell, for example, he was on when Ghost sort of came onto the scene as a team, playing in some of the the Pro League and everything like that. He was one of the standouts. So everyone's like, whoa, this guy is going to be huge in the future. Amazing AWPer. And as you mentioned, Steel, someone who has a lot of natural leadership qualities. Like his understanding for the game, and I think the respect that people have for his understanding of the game, and how, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know about Steel, just check out his YouTube channel, because he has some of the most comprehensive content on theory about improving as a player and understanding the game. So you have that guy in the middle, And that is going to give anyone confidence, I think. And Kusta as well, you know, I've always been looking at him as a player that has been just waiting for his time to have some career best Counter-Strike and you know, show everyone that he can be very next level.
Yeah, he's had some heartbreaking moments as well, but still a very deadly. It's funny to think.
I need to appreciate that I didn't throw you under any buses so far in relation to that.
Thank you, Dan.
I could see you smirking.
I saw you tiptoeing around it. Oh, hello. But I was going to say something cool. Wardell, and like just it's interesting. We were talking about on the desk at different points. The vacuum around AWPing in the North American region at the moment is just pretty interesting because now that Skido's retired, there's no one that is like that guy that you look at and say this is who we're generally kind of associating with being the best AWPer in North America. And you have a couple, I guess, other contestants between Wardell and you know Kusta. We've seen a couple other of those AWPers and some of the younger AWPers on other teams play. So that title, for however much worth you want to attach to it, is kind of up for grabs at the moment.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it? Especially because I think in the previous match, I was saying how Team Liquid are like they're the role models really for you know inspiring sort of the culture of how to play CS in North American Counter-Strike, coming out of an era where we didn't really have any team that was quite so disciplined, quite so structured, but also had this like very very good young talent. And they don't actually have like necessarily that natural AWPer, but they obviously have players that can go to it. Obviously, they're just very good, and a lot of them are very all-rounded. But they don't again have that, so you can't even look at Team Liquid and be like, oh well. That guy, necessarily. Obviously, Nitro can pick it up, but the way that he plays it is clean. Not like he's not a Kenny S kind of a player, or simple and so on. So
well, and even now with Liquid, we've seen like Naf and even Stewie's going to start picking it up. You'd imagine more and more. So yeah, we're seeing a lot. We're seeing that kind of almost like a trend of teams going away from having just like a pure primary AWPer. A lot of people are kind of like going for like the hybrid players who can handle it well. This matchup, I mean, if you want to talk about AWPers, you go to the other side. Device, the number 2 player in the world, like an incredible AWPer, what he's going to bring to the table. That'll be, I feel like strategically that's got to be the biggest piece of the puzzle that's so difficult to get over for opponents of Astralis, and especially a young team like Ghost that hasn't played at this level very frequently. You have to remember as well, win or lose this, Ghost, this is their goal. They need to be going deep into events like this. They want to get their stock up. They want to get their brand up so that they can be invited to more events in the future, get out of this qualification hell. And they're going to be starting on the T side, fast-paced towards Ivy. Wardell leading the way.
Glaive is ready to receive though. Can he hit the first shot? No, it's Wardell to do it, and he'll bust open a nice clean passage all the way to the bomb train there as Magis looks to defend, but is he going to get overwhelmed? Looks actually like he can handle this. Dupree is able to cover him for a reload. That's outrageous that he's alive, and now it's just Freakazoid at range against multiple USPs.
That is so dirty from Astralis. Freakazoid 1-on-3, long range of the Glock. It's not to be. What cohesion between Dupree on the rotation and Magisk, crossing his fingers and hoping his teammate's going to hit the shot. Nails it. It's 1-0. That round was just so close to tipping in the favor of Ghost.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. It's a shame for them because you really want to see them have that good start. You know that they are the David in this matchup, the heavy underdog. And actually a player we didn't really talk about that I think is worth mentioning is Neptune. And this might be a good moment to do it. We'll quickly see exactly what their plan is, though. They do have a P250s, a smoke, and a flashbang. So their objective here will be to go for that B plant. They don't really care about anything else. And Zipx is actually going to go for the defense here. And with the Molotov, there's no smoke to extinguish it. So that will be that.
That will be that. And what can you say about it? We might be seeing a lot of that in this matchup. But here we go. Guns out for the very first time for Ghost on this third round. AWP in Wardell's hands. No utility, no armor behind it. That pistol round, it seems like, I mean, if you're giving a pep talk and you're on Ghost, if you're, you know, Steel or Freakazoid or James or whoever's going to do that, I guess you kind of got to say, you know, these first 6 rounds of this game, we have to show no fear. It's just got to be attack mode at all times and at least show Astralis, show these players that you can hang with them. And it looked like that highly aggressive pistol round towards the bomb train was exactly in that vein. Magisk going to get aggressive. There's an ice pick, but Magisk is going to find the equalizer and be able to escape.
Did take quite a lot of damage, though, and can't get all the way back. Maybe they will have some suspicions. Neptune only has a smoke, though, in this position, so it's not like he can molly or use an HE to check that position to clear it. He'll have to hard clear it with his rifle if he wants to move forward. So speaking of which, Dupree doing the same, but into T-Con. That is a very good position to take as a CT. Gives you so much information, and that's going to allow them to cheat some more players over towards B.
Yeah, you can hear footsteps, fast rotations, fast flanks. And at the moment, Ghost tentatively prodding into this B bomb site. But look at the rotation it's actually allowed with that positioning from Dupree. 3 players at one point into that B bomb site. They've just rotated Glaive off. But 2 players to defend this, even though Magisk is low, is still a very difficult task. Xyp9x waiting right below.
It's very awkward here for Ghost. And that is exactly why, what a lineup there for Magisk. Down the scope with that AUG, it's making angles like that way more powerful than it used to be with a single M4. It's changing the dynamic on so many different positions. And I actually do think that we may see some serious nerfs, actually, from how the meta's shaping up.
Certainly going to start a conversation along those lines is going to start evolving, I believe, as we see those weapons being picked up more and more. That angle is just so difficult to clear Magisk out when he has that weapon. Pretty clean win for Astralis, all things considered, 3-0. Back down to P250s and Glocks for Ghost. And I guess the one bright spot has been that pick from Wardell in the previous round with the AWP that they weren't able to really capitalize on in any way.
Yeah, and it's very difficult as well because of the likes of Astralis. They're so very active. Every time there's an action from you, there's a reaction from them in some regard. And you may not see it. It may just be a small push somewhere else, but that allows them to understand more specifically what's going on and to be more ready for it. And well, some nice damage.
It's like artillery. He's got a teammate in ladder room saying, yeah, you're hitting him, you're tagging him, keep going. And dupreeh is going to handle it all. What a spin. 4 kills.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Good God. Well, Astralis have turned up to play. And I really love watching Astralis. A lot of people say it's like a boring way to think about it. But I like seeing their dominance because it's beautiful Counter-Strike that they're playing. They're all playing career best Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about it is that when their dominance goes away, that that storyline, that means the entire scene of Counter-Strike has to be lifted to their level. So I think that it's going to pay off for all of us at some point.
Yeah, like collectively raising the bar across the whole scene.
Yeah.
A little bit of a timeout, I believe, as Ghost wants to get themselves back into it.
Ghost is a team with so much talent. Like as I mentioned, Neptune before, he's a very, very young player as well. He's very smart. I don't know if I want to make a comparison to Robs, because Robs is a very special player, but it's very rare that you see young players that think decision-making first at his age, and then execution mechanics afterwards. But that's kind of the vibe I used to get from Neptune when I watched him like a year ago.
He's one of the guys that Ghost is putting a lot of hope in that's going to turn into something special. Molotov certainly going to force Wardell back. He's going to take a lot of damage for that. Well, not too bad. Down to 60 HP. Steel's forced into the open, and he's got himself a double. dupreeh and Glaive not paying attention. Device finally shuts him down, but that creates so much space in mid.
3 versus 3 now, as it is equalized by Device, but here goes Freakazoid with the run down to hell, but he'll be sent there himself, as now Kusta and Neptune need to make good of this. They haven't got any forward positions, but because there's only 3 players left on Astralis and there's over a minute on the clock, despite that man disadvantage, there's a lot of sneaky plays that are available to them, lots of holes in the defense that they're able to find if they are fortunate, and they have chosen the inner bomb site.
It almost feels like if they want to hit this window of opportunity, Kusta needs to lead the way before his teammate gets there. He's just arriving now. Xyp9x is playing spot very far back, not committing to any kind of a fight, just wants to see if they come into this bomb site to call for the rotations. Allows the defense outside to remain strong. There's the information, now the scope, and he's going to cover the cross, and he's going to do it very well. 1 kill, lots of damage onto Kusta, who's got to get this bomb planted. The cover of smoke and Molotov to hide his intentions.
Very brave play from Kusta, but it won't work out. But the bomb does go down at the very least, which will allow them to have, with that max loss bonus, $4,200. So they'll be buying immediately, despite the fact that they are broke at the moment. It's
incredible how quick Astralis can react and shut down any kind of weakness. Seal gets a double kill out ladder room. That should allow so many players of Ghost. Unfortunately, it was only Freakazoid pushing down those lanes. His 2 teammates were way more passive than he was, and they just couldn't get involved in the action whatsoever. By the time they're ready to react and get involved, Device has already found 2 kills and shut it down.
Yeah, it's very true. And I do wonder how successful Ghost will be in pushing those positions. I know that smoke push around Sandwich is very, very strong. We've seen that be a way that you can open up the bomb site, because even if you don't attack through there, just dropping that smoke and getting someone in Olafmeister is just very imposing. But Astralis, very good at dealing with stuff like this. And here's a mix-up to their setup, going for the Ivy 2-man setup. There is the baits. Magisk now strikes. He gets himself 1. Device can come back in to assist. And that could be the round over just like that. But thankfully for Ghost, Freakazoid will trade at least Magisk.
Yeah, Magisk going for an aggressive play. Now Kusa trying to pick off Glaive. He knows one is likely over there all, but the shoulder peek has betrayed him. He shows, and Glaive was ready for it. Low HP on Kusa. He's got to back away. He cannot be the initiator of the fights. It's going to fall on Steel and Freakazoid. And back to the inner bomb site, it feels like we go.
Totem pole drop. Do you call it that, the totem pole?
Yeah, that works.
Nice. Well, there is time at least for Ghost to try to make this work, but they are starting to attract attention. Astralis are alerted to the outside attack, and they've got 3 players in position, leaving just Dupree to handle the B-bomb site. 40 seconds now. No utility really left for Ghost as they push forwards, looking for the fights. The Glaive, my goodness, creeping up through the side, and that is 2 very swift kills from him, and not much else to show for themselves for Ghost as they go down 0-6.
And now this starts to get scary. A lot of money built up on this defensive side, a lot of cash flow for Astralis. No end in sight if you're Ghost. They found some opening kills, they've found a couple nice frags, just haven't been able to build upon it and actually get into the sites properly.
And oftentimes when you look at a matchup like this, where you're a heavy underdog and you lose, let's say you haven't got as much experience playing the top 8 teams, like Ghost for example, you think, okay, well it's a learning experience. You can look at the demos, you can learn so much. And I'm trying to wonder if that's going to be the case against Astralis, because they are on such a different level to everybody else.
Gotta wonder what they'd be able to take from just getting slapped around constantly. Nice flashbang though in the defense. Oh, it's an awkward position. Dupree's left with almost nothing. No support. He gets 3 kills though. He's brought it back in an equal situation.
Actually working out here. The Org will rattle off once again though from Zepex as Steel now works the P250. No utility, looking for that first frag, but the running P250 will do the damage and Steel is dropped. But the chaos of the pistol rush sometimes can get some damage.
Sometimes it pays off, doesn't it? Not that time. Well done from Dupree. 2 players funneled into the same position, but he handles it well. 7-0, and back to the guns for Ghost. Just not a whole lot of kills coming out for them, which is the other part of the issue.
Yes, that is very demoralizing as well. It kind of
every time you hit tab and you're like, oh god.
Yeah, and it's like you kind of forget what it's like to get kills. It's just not a good feeling, and I guess Astralis have not felt that in a very, very long time. Dupree will be holding on to the outer position. 3 players in inner. It's just so awesome to see Astralis mixing up to anticipate the way that the default might be changing for Ghost, and they just get another 2 kills straight away. On train with if you don't move into a bomb site and you're down to 3 players against 5, it just becomes, there's just too many CTs looking at too many angles at that point.
Especially now with the double up setup being employed. 1-up on device is dangerous enough, but Magisk having it as well. They can play far back. They don't have to be close up and committed. They don't have to have players in positions where they can get taken out without a trade, so these ops now come into play in a big, big way. 53 seconds on the clock as Wardell readjusts. But there's no need for Astralis to peek down any of these angles. There's no need for them to even consider any kind of aggressive play. Sit back, wait for Ghost to commit. You know they're going to have to do it. It's going to be tough. And Dupree's in a perfect position.
And this is like one of those checkmate scenarios where as you mentioned, you take those positions, you know that they have to make the move, you've got everything covered, even if one of you misses a shot somehow. You got teammates in a position to have these setups to cover you. So everyone's hitting their shots, and it's, ooh, the lineup. Very nice to get some extra kills in there for Neptune, but ultimately won't really help them out too much.
No, not even in terms of economy, not even causing a dent in the amount of cash flow that Astralis has going on. So, yeah, this is getting dicey. Astralis, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, having a good time up there. Ghost probably not the same look, I would imagine.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, at least for them, it's one of those matchups where it can be quite magical, because you can have that element that a team that has, they're just trying to get experience. They're in a position where they've got nothing to lose as well.
You can see James, their coach of Ghost, with the timeout. He formerly did some work with Cloud9. He's an old school player that's gone back towards 1.6, so he's done some analyst work for a couple different teams and now helping this squad and obviously getting in Josh's or Steele's ears. Let him know what he's thinking of the situation, what he's seen from behind the team. Hello.
It's a fine beard.
That's a nice beard.
It's very, very full. I've got patches, Jason.
You do have a rather patchy beard.
Yeah. Just I try to force it anyway to make it work. And that's what Ghost will be doing as well. Looking to force the issue, perhaps. Looking like a default so far, just only a single man towards Ivy. Freakazoid by Popdog. And a pick from Device onto Steel. Not sure exactly how Device was able to pick that one up, but...
That was from lower ramp. He pushed up, and now he's going to readjust towards upper, and he's going to take another fight, and he's not fast enough for that. Freakazoid read the play, and now that feels like an opening that you don't get too often, and another one is followed up by Wardell. That's on Dupree. A lot of pressure on Xyp9x here at the inner bombs. You can see 2 choke points to where he's slowly creeping back to reposition. And Astralis, for the first time in this half, in this map, are scrambling.
Absolutely. I was just thinking, it's good to see that finally they're going to be pushed and tested in a 3 versus 4, down in a disadvantage. A minute to play with for Ghost. That's the perfect spot to be in on the T side. You can see how Astralis are adjusting here. Magisk is kind of gambling a bit that there won't be anyone going Ivy, leaving himself a bit open towards that. Can check it if he needs to every so often, but otherwise has a pretty safe way to cover the more forward positions.
You're going to see the flank start coming in. 2 players rotated to the inner bomb site. That's going to one. Oh, great peek from Wardell. Magisk gives up his position, and that might have been too early. The flank's not ready yet. But that backstab can be brutal. It's going to be tough, though. Xyp9x, they're going to try and do the follow-up flank as well. If Xyp9x goes down, Glaive coming from the same position. Here's the peek. He can get 2. He is going to get 2, and he can build upon this now.
And that flashbang will get him out, but beautiful cover coming in from Ghost. If they were to make it out of that choke point, then there's some trouble, but Ghosts are able to keep a lid on that one, and they get around. But the scary thing for me is that, you get around, and I immediately like, yes, but then I'm very scared and nervous because if you've lost a lot of players, you don't want to get immediately reset because then you're just in store for a pummeling.
Yeah, that's very possible.
So I'm afraid. I'm afraid for Ghost right now. Let's see if they can string rounds together. That's a good start.
A couple nice shots from Wardell to really open things up. That was great. They're going to need more of that, more consistent. Look at this boost. Oh, he spots the head.
Wow.
Goes for the flick. It was almost there, but more importantly, just realizes he's in danger and gets out before Device can respond. You want to talk about the variety of defenses shown. We've seen a 3-man stack towards the inner bomb site. We saw Device pick it in the previous round, and now 4 players outside. A pick towards Team Main, and then the defense gets aggressive on the choke point.
They have so many setups, you're right. It's very difficult to deal with. Glaive will go aggressive. Oh, how does he get that? The peek into Popdog. 2 players there. He comes out barely scratched, goes for it again. That is outrageous. And he will go down, which I feel like is justice. But 3 versus 4 here for Ghost, and Device, he'll take it to another one. 2 to 3 now for Ghost. Not the end of the world.
Problem is here, even though Wardell's out, Ivy with the AWP can't be too aggressive. Great reaction from Freakazoid. 2-on-2 now. And Magisk starting to feel a little bit nervous, a little bit surrounded. He's got his teammate Xyp9x has rotated over. Magisk just looking for the next piece of information, and there's a tough timing for Wardell to handle.
Like this from Wardell, though, immediately going to reposition. That's the name of the game. And Freakazoid, will he be ready for this? Magisk. It's all the timing, that's what it's all about. And Freakazoid gets the better one. As Xyp9x now watches over sandwich, spots the barrel. Oh, Wardell, he's quick. He's very quick. And Ghost will actually convert and pick up a 2nd round. I am very happy about that.
Yeah, now we're starting to get there. Now 2 rounds in a row, you start to see some of that money diminished. Ghost on the verge. If they can cause the reset onto the defense, then all of a sudden you can see them claw back into this, and very quickly they can get enough rounds to make this a respectable half. 2 to 8. And the money's gone for now for Astralis. All 5 players beneath 1,000. 4 of them beneath 150 or less.
I do like how the way that we saw Ghost win those rounds. They earned those rounds. It wasn't some crazy play that Astralis sort of messed up. But here we go. Looking to get fast control of Popdog there. Steel already down there. Doesn't want any CTs to get into that position early on. And you can see Dupree's going for it. Doesn't realize that Steel made it past the Molotov, and that is a genius play.
Yeah, rare mistake out of the Astralis side. Assuming that the Molotov was going to keep players back. Free kill for Steel. He's had success from that ladder room. Follow-up, though. Glaive's going to come back in. There's the peek from Magisk. He commits. 2-man advantage for Ghost now as Neptune is prepared. 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock, and Ghost controls the map.
Looking really good right now. Indeed, that advantage is pretty decisive at this point, and Astralis, they have to make plays, and Glaive is the man to do so. Moving in towards Popdog, perhaps a bait though, and with Device taking down the presence from Ivy, it just gets so bad here, this triple-pronged attack. It doesn't ever get to be coordinated to come in together, and now there's all kinds of problems because Astralis have the advantage.
The tough part for Ghost is that's they wanted Glaive to be in that position. They wanted a player there to do that stack. They know that the answer to being a man down on the defense with that much time is to get aggressive. Fall back just to set up that play, and it backfires. Now the op Device can cover the cross. Low HP Glaive can just sit and wait. He has no danger as long as Device is here, and there's a pick. Wardell now swings out next. That's going to be from above. Glaive waiting for his timing, and he finds it. 9-2, and Astralis avoid that brutal reset of their economy.
Astralis is so good as well with their CD setups, the way that they are able to see, like for example, Device there. It's a small example of it. He takes that first shot, and then he just disappears into thin air, and you're spending time like thinking, what if he re-peaks? He's never going to re-peak you, but that small amount of time that you're worried about it, his teammates are going to shoot you in the face. And so that is like pretty consistent, the way that they play in that disciplined fashion, showing us the power of something as simple as repositioning.
Trying to decide if James looks like he has no ideas. See him shrugging his shoulders like that doesn't look great. Little chat over. Last time they had this timeout, they were able to string 2 in a row. Trying to get back some of that magic. I mean, that is kind of cool. That is one of the fun things to watch about Ghost, is with Steel being such a cerebral player, an in-game leader, and very strategic, you can see kind of the mind work in the way that they're positioning across the map, and that's just on one of those unfortunate times where the theory is sound, but in practice it failed spectacularly.
Yes, that's one of the beauties of watching Astralis is, I mean, you highlighted it earlier, they have so many different setups, and they are so good at reading each other's gameplay as teammates that everyone's always covered, there's always an answer, they're always just so quick, and you can't be prepared for all of the stuff that they have on the CT side. It's a bit too much. But Ghost, they have proven that they can get 2 honest rounds.
Here's the tough part for Ghost now. With this kind of a low buy, that nade doesn't help anything, does it? They almost have to clear out this ladder room, and that's the one rifle they had. Steel, oh, it just falls away from them, and Glaive knows it. And Freakazoid, Neptune, you can tell they almost want to go for it. There's a fake flash, or a timing flash, and Glaive's ready for that as well. And with limited utility, it felt like Ghost was always going to march in towards the center bomb site and just do a pretty easy execute down these choke points, but they knew they had to make sure that ladder was going to be cleared out for the fast flank. They didn't have the resources to cover that, and now they have a really tough task of actually getting in and getting the bomb down, and it's just not going to happen.
Indeed, Freakazoid left alone, and he will be silenced. 10-2, Astralis looking back in control once again. And Ghost, it's just so very difficult. So very difficult. Train is also a map that's particularly unforgiving on the T side. If you can't get anything going and that economy is against you. Though I have to say, one thing we haven't really seen is any set pieces outside, which is very common on Train. And I would expect to see that at some point. One of the problems, though, is you do have to have pop door control. And Astralis have been very good early in the round, shutting down the forward choke points.
Here we go, more aggression towards Ivy. That's Glaive to go down, but Matt just has the lineup, and he's got 3. Almost a 4th onto Freakazoid. And now this defense can just kind of shrink back. The pressure has abated. It's been taken care of. Freakazoid maybe trying to get one more, but with such low HP, not a great chance. And all of Astralis is zoned in on Ivy for the moment until that internal clock tells him that he could have made his way around towards T-mid. 16-4 for Device, 15-4 for Zipnix.
Life is good, isn't it, if you are Astralis? Freakazoid will make his way forwards. 7 HP. Very difficult spot to find yourself in. Looking to get some damage in. One of the reasons why I don't think you would ever really want to just throw your life away in situations like that as well is that it's really important for your mindset to just remain focused and always in that moment where you're ready to take advantage if they give you something. It doesn't have to lead to winning the round, but if someone makes a mistake, you can punish it and just get one kill. Even if that kill doesn't matter, you are ready, you're in the right mindset, you got a kill, it makes you feel like it's possible.
Like you're actually able to contribute. I can't imagine too many players in Ghost are feeling that way at the moment. Galil on Neptune, SMG on Steel, AKs in the AWP on Wardell.
Ooh. Gonna get a fast effort towards B perhaps. Or maybe not. Going down and through Pop Dog. And it looks like still is a fan of Pop Dog. You were mentioning it before. He's been handling his position well, but Dupree with the spray down, even with the 180 at hand, it's still very clean. Astralis are just murdering them when they come out through these choke points.
It's another change in the defensive setup as well, where Astralis 4 players outside, they have plenty of bodies to take care of that pressure from 2 different angles. And even though Ghost does a pretty good job of getting those 2 kills, there's just way too many people to build upon afterwards. 12-2 now for Astralis in a very, very dominant half.
And that's one of the crazy things about it too, because as you say, like, Astralis just have 4 men there. Maybe that would have been a round where they had 3 players pushing into winner. That could very well have been the case, but if they get a couple right guesses, Astralis, the round that they'll play will still be strong and they'll still have good options. But if they get it right, you feel like, oh god, I have to adjust. But they keep mixing things up. It's like you can't really read that. It's like, what do you do?
No, it's a very, very difficult task that everyone's pretty much struggling with. Freakazoid forced away by the Molotovs. Trapped by the second one. There's the pop flash. Look how quick this is coming in. He's so blind. Dupree has no idea, but he does react in time and more nades towards ladder room. Kusta with the Mac 10. But so much damage is being dished out. And again, they're just using so much of their lives and so much of the utility just to get out of the choke points. They haven't even gotten safely to the bomb site yet. And it's certainly not going to happen in this final round of the first half.
Wardell, though, looking to try his best to get that last round. He's got over a minute to play with. Does pick off another one. And there's only 2 now which remain. He's got a smoke and a Molotov and an M4. There's a real chance that Wardell could make something happen here, tossing a smoke out into the... Is that for Olafmeister? I believe so. That will cover his approach. Or perhaps not.
Not much. It was between the trains.
It was between the trains. Didn't quite go where I think he wanted it to go.
There were 1 of 2 lanes that he had to pick to block off, and he chose the wrong one.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Either way, I feel like the 2 rounds that Ghost did get, I was impressed.
Solid rounds.
Those
were solid
honest rounds. They were honest rounds, Jason. Well.
Blue-collar rounds.
Yeah. So the question is whether they can pick up that pistol, because it's a different story, of course, when you switch halves. You won't be running into them anymore, they'll be running into you. And so if you get that good economy, it'd be nice to see what Ghost have, like how they play together, the dynamic on the CT side.
It would be cool. I mean, this is going to be a very almost near impossible comeback for Ghost, but I mean, even if you just kind of get something for the next map, right? Like you establish the economy, win the first 3 rounds, get some money, go on a small little bit of a run. Astralis is going to have so many opportunities to find answers and to kind of change things up and test different approaches and everything if they do run into issues. But if you're Ghost, you're looking for something positive you can take into the break.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely there. I think another exciting thing about Ghost is they are a team that has every reason to believe in themselves, and I just want to see more gameplay from them. So hopefully they'll be able to find a way to bring that about as we now commence the second half. This is, of course, the iBUYPOWER Masters, brought to you by CS Money and Microsoft. And we're off once again. Freakazoid with the smoke kits, everybody else with the Kevlar for Ghost, and a handful of flashbangs there for Astralis. P250 on device, and out they will go.
Well, Neptune's got a chance. He's not being aggressive over the smoke, and his teammates are already falling, and Magisk already has close up towards this choke point. Great reaction there. Fighting their way out of the choke point, but the bomb's going to go down. And now Astralis can just try and get into positions. They can play it a little bit more passively. Set up your crossfires where these smokes are still up. And they're able to find Wardell, but it's again returned by Neptune.
Real chance here for Ghost as Freakazoid takes some heavy hits. That P250. The armor penetration is significant. Great work coming in here from Astralis. Now down to Freakazoid with 3 HP, and there's nothing he can do. Astralis will slap him down once again, and Ghost are left seemingly with nowhere to go now.
That's one thing that Ghost was never able to do on their T side, is you have that front line. You have those aggressive players that attack and take over the bomb train, and even though they die, they've bought so much time and so much space that the other 3 players can just be very, very passive, set up, and there's just so many spots to check outside. It always cost Ghost so many players just to get any kind of a foothold into the outer yard that they were never able to get any kind of comfort in that fashion. Here comes some more smokes and utility towards the inner bomb site as we fly through the map.
Very interesting smoke there. Kusta by E-Box gets one with that CZ. Not bad. He's still holding on to that position, buying time for his teammates to come and help him. He'll eventually fall, and it looks like his teammates are not able to provide the support that was necessary. And Astralis are out now, and they can play deathmatch with these AK-47s. Deagle, though, they weren't expecting that. Now there's a chance.
Oh, Wardell would just love to have an AK-47. I think he gets caught turning the corner trying to pick it up. So much time for Steel to consider all the possibilities in this 1 versus 2. Obviously investing in this round, trying to keep Astralis off of map point for as long as possible, but it's just not to be.
I wonder if he can find a gun somewhere. That would be very...
I think that's his.
Nice.
That's his. I think that's what he's thinking as well as he makes this rotation happen. Is get towards that wall where a couple players have gone down. Bomb is being planted, and Steel just now ready to get into the action.
There is a gun on the ground. He's going to try to make it across. Gets the Galil. He would have wanted the AK, but it will have to do. Doesn't have any idea where Glaive is, and I feel like there's a timer on Steel's expiration right now. And it's very, very short because Glaive is coming in from the flank, and he has no idea. UMP will finish the job. And that is game point there for Astralis on train, 15-2.
And they're smiling.
It's his Glaive's face that just like looks maniacal. Like, there's like an evilness almost to his happiness.
He could be made into a pretty funny evil cartoon. Yeah. Like if what's his name, Nonker was still making his cartoons.
Oh, yes,
you could turn Glaive into an evil genius.
Do you think he could be a good Bond villain, perhaps?
A decent Bond villain.
Give him a cat and then I don't know, a bureau.
A big chair
to sit behind and a big chair.
Here we go. Slow and measured from Astralis this time as they realize Ghost, if they're going to try and make any kind of a run at 15-2, it's going to be starting with something crazy. Early goals for this round is just not take damage from any CT aggression, and that's been accomplished.
Quick flash down. Neptune will be dealt with. Pop Dog has been breached, and now the coordination we see from Team Main as well. They'll try to pincer on this A-bomb site, but actually Wardell with that scout. What is that? 2 quick headshots from him, and all of a sudden he's actually stopped this push from really working as it was supposed to. Kusta's chiming in as well with that CZ, and Wardell's getting close for the guns. Steel, though, he will go down, and that has given Astralis a chance.
The Mag 7 is a fickle mistress. Doesn't land the kill that time, and look at this position from Zipnix. Can just spam through the smoke. He can't see anything, but so much damage. Glaive now in perfect positioning. And he can just hide away, fall back behind the train. Kusta just has to be aggressive. No kit either. It's got to be a full 10-second defuse. And Zipnix, the clutch minister himself, is still in play. Kusta's going to find the first, but again, he's got to just smoke the bomb and stick this. This is going to be so difficult. Although Zipnix is rotating away from the side that this is planted on. It could be an opening for Kusta. Doesn't even realize it just yet. And even a little bit confused last round. There was no chance either way. And Kusta's just going to run into his death. That's map 1 over, 16-2.
You got to feel for Kusta. You got to feel for him, man. I was thinking, yeah, you can't win this. You should run away. but yeah, that was well played.
What do you do in a lose-lose situation?
It's just one of those. This is the thing, is that from there from that matchup we did see Astralis obviously performing a masterclass as always, as we expect, and we saw just quite how difficult it is because Ghost are a very good team.
Yeah,
and they could barely scratch.
Right, yeah, they really had to claw even just for those two measly rounds, right? I mean, that was very, very difficult. And if it would have been interesting if they could have reset Astralis, if they could have won that 3rd round and just had an advantage. That would have been super nice to see what they could have done with that, but just not enough space to kind of really build into the second half. Like they didn't really have any kind of a buffer to work with.
Yeah, and there's just this different level that Astralis are on, and we mentioned it before, where a lot of teams they'll be playing against team, I know any other team other than Astralis on the top level. Yeah. And you can see patterns. You can see setups that they favor in ways that they find that can work for their CD setups. And maybe they'll mix it up with some aggressions here or there, like Liquid, for example. But the issue is that Astralis change it so constantly that you're always trying to adjust to something that it no longer is happening anymore because they have so much diversity, and that's very difficult to circumvent.
When you talk to the Astralis guys at events, and like whenever they have any kind of difficulty, it's always funny because they always mention like they just didn't know how to read the situation because the team would just be doing like a 50-50 gamble. They'd just be like, there's no logic to what our opponents are doing. They're just literally stacking a bomb site, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, I believe we're going to go down to the desk for the analysts.
You believe correctly. What a obvious result. Unfortunate, like we were trying to be optimistic and say like, oh, maybe, just maybe they could.
We need a little bit of optimism, then the realism comes in for me. So it's good. Like everyone gets their role. But yeah, I mean that was just one of those games where Astralis just obviously didn't really have any trouble at all. All 5 performed really, really well. Nothing really worked for Ghost whatsoever. I mean, there was a couple little cool moments, like Wardell had a couple of cool little moments with the AWP. But the reality of the situation is that, I mean, it was just Ghost going up against the Behemoth. Like, they've never played someone like that before. And, it's just, that's a tall task to live up to.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it at the end of the day, Ghost definitely outmatched, and it showed. Astralis really having no problem throughout this game, shutting them down. We saw a little bit of life from Ghost in those few rounds that they actually ended up winning. But at the end of the day, yeah, not really much happening for them here. This was going to be one of those situations where we thought a little bit of life would have come in. Kusa takes the jump onto the box. Easy kill for Device to pick up. So, I mean, Ghost going on to Inferno, it's not getting any easier. It's only going to get more difficult.
Yeah, the reality is they're just so disciplined. Like, even if Ghost somehow found a window, Astralis shuts it immediately.
Yeah, precisely.
I mean, even just watching the replays here, you could just see time and time again, it's just Astralis just dumpstering Ghost. I mean, a lot of those rounds at first early on weren't even close.
Yeah, there's even a couple of rounds where it seems like they're going to get an advantage, but then Astralis can still even bring it back from a 3 versus 4. I mean, Astralis was one of those teams last year that had the highest 4-on-5 conversion, so they're really good at even playing from behind. And it just shows that, again, they're just on a whole different level than Ghost as far as level of experience, level of talent, deepness of their map pool, team play. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Like, Astralis is just better in every single category. And now, like you said, you go into Inferno, a map where, again, Astralis is on a 10-game winning streak. It's their most played map. It's one of the top 3 maps in their pool as far as performance. And now it gets even more difficult. I mean, that already looked egregious enough, but now you have to go on to Inferno next, where it's not going to get any easier whatsoever.
I expected to see more out of Ghost on Train, and it was so lackluster that moving on to Inferno now, I think it's going to be pretty bad for Ghost now. Astralis, they're looking like they're ready to go to the finals. They're looking like they're ready to get themselves their first title of 2019.
Like, where can you even penetrate Astralis' defense on this map? I mean, Magus is probably one of the best pit anchors in the world on Inferno. You got the Zippix and Glaive combo on the B side of the map that are just so smart, know exactly when they can take peeks, when they need to fall back, when they need to anchor, when they need to buy time. How they use their utility is just spectacular. Like, it's one of those teams that will punish every single mistake you make, and they very rarely give you an opportunity to punish one of theirs, either because they don't make them or they have such incredible talent to recover from it.
That's actually the aspect I wanted to touch upon is, like, you have 5 players who are all capable of clutching, all capable of top fragging, all capable of being support. Like, they can basically, everyone can do everything.
So why weren't they all in the top 5?
Oh God, don't even go there.
Stop it.
But, like, just looking at the way they play in general, even if one of them does make a mistake, all 4 can lift up pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And, even if somehow Ghost is able to try and capitalize, it's just immediately taken down.
I mean, you have to understand that Astralis has perfected the fundamentals of banana control and different aspects of Inferno, but then they're also innovating on top of it. Some of their nade stacks on, like, CT spawn connector for the rotator as they're on T side throwing nade stacks as Ts, or how they nade stack pit and graveyard, the smoke walls they use across the A bomb site, how they use molly coverage on the B bomb site for those execs. Again, they're one of those teams that perfect the basics and then they innovate on top of that. Like, people are learning from them. You have to be students of Astralis to learn how to play these maps better. So when you add all that up, I mean, how could you possibly beat that?
I mean, just looking at this next map, what is your takeaway right now if you're Ghost? Like, you see that first map and you see that you just got beaten down pretty hard, and you know that they're the best team in the world, and you know that you don't compare on this map. So, like, what's the goal?
The goal is to trade out these kills properly, right? That was the one issue I thought that Ghost had a lot. There were a lot of individual duels that were going Astralis' way that had the potential to be traded out, but the spacing was kind of off in that sense. And Ghost really, when you give Astralis that extra second to recollect themselves, that trade doesn't come, well, they're probably going to get that second frag. They're probably going to get the third frag. So I think for Ghost right now, what they need to concentrate on going into Inferno is going to be the fact that they need to just trade these kills. They need to keep their spacing tight. They need to hope that, we're just going to go 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 1 for 1. Even if the rounds turn into 1v1s all the time, it's still a better showing than what we saw on Train.
Yeah, I think it's just also just about the timidness. I mean, some of those players, you could tell there were certain situations on that Train match where they got a little bit lost. They looked a little bit pressured. And it's one of those things where you have to just kind of stay grounded. You have to, go and do what you practiced. I mean, obviously, Astralis is going to throw curveballs at you, disrupt what you normally do. They're not going to give you room for free and really let you feel comfortable. But at the same time, you have to at least, you know, have the guts to go for it. And I think that we didn't see that all the time on Train.
What's the silver lining if you're Ghost? Like, you pretty much, you can see the writing on the wall already.
This lets them know where they're at on the international scale.
Sure.
What they need to work towards to get better, what they need to improve on. That's the silver lining. This is an opportunity for them at the start of 2019 to now work their way through this year in hopes to get back into another matchup against Astralis and show that they've improved over time.
I mean, here's the thing. It was hard enough that you're going up against the best team in the world by a substantial margin, but you're also doing it on top of, you know, playing your first event with a new fifth. So that just adds another complication to things. You know, to kind of go about what can they gain from this, you know, he's right. It's the experience. There's really no pressure on you to win. No one expects you to. Any wins you happen to get out of this series are over accomplishments. You know, they're icing on the cake, but what you really can do with this is, yeah, make it a learning experience. Like, they're probably used to playing against certain styles of teams, like maybe more aggressive or explosive teams, like when they play Na'Vi, when they have to play up against Simple and Electronic. They maybe understand, oh, this is what that feels like. But you're going up against a team, like I said, Astralis, who is just so fundamentally sound. They don't make very many mistakes. They don't give you room to breathe. They don't give you opportunities. So it forces you to kind of learn, how do I create my own opportunities? Like, if I don't get a mistake, I get too punished, and how do I create my own space? You know, so I think that is a learning experience in itself, playing a different style of team.
Is there a certain argument to be made that maybe this could actually be detrimental for Astralis moving into the grand finals because they haven't really been tested this entire tournament?
I don't think so. I mean, again, this is their 17th LAN together. They are no strangers to how to handle any situation or any team. So I don't think it impacts them at all.
No, I think they'll be fine. I think Liquid will be a good test for them. I think that when you're looking at, you know, going up against Liquid versus Ghost, yeah, Liquid is the more tenured team. Liquid is the more powerful team overall. But when it's Astralis, I really don't think it's going to be much of a, you know, a force back from Liquid.
I mean, I'm hopeful that it'll be as good a grand final as we've seen in the past. It seems weird saying that, though, because we haven't actually finished the series. But even still, like, it is kind of difficult to say, like, oh, we're kind of already writing Ghost out. Like, that first map.
It certainly feels like we're on our way there, right? I mean, especially how, you know, rough Ghost lost their map pick. Now you're going to Astralis' map pick where they're just so dominant on Inferno. So it certainly does feel like we're almost there. So I can understand why you have that sentiment.
It's just kind of, it does feel weird, though, because it's like, oh, you know, they're still here, and they still have to play one more map. And who knows? I mean, anything could happen. It is Counter-Strike, any given Sunday, and it is actually Sunday. So.
Inferno is one of those maps, too, that kind of allow the CT side to be way more ahead very early on, but it's going to be interesting to see just how Ghosts come out in this match and make this happen.
Well, I do believe we actually have the casters standing by, so we can jump straight into that second map. These teams are ready to get things going. Take it away.